Are you an athlete that already knows the cues, such as brace, push your knees out, engage your lats, all these different things that help you to do a squat, for example? But when the load gets to 90 to 95 or a new PB, your body seems to not remember them, or it doesn't do what you think or want it to do. If that's the case, then this video is for you, because we're going to look at the difference between seeing a cue and fixing the problem. So let's take a squat, for example. Now, a good coach may say, your knees are collapsing in. That's good. That is good coaching, because your aim as a coach is to identify an issue to resolve it. A great coach might say, your knee is collapsing in, so therefore your glutes might be weak. And they might do some tests to figure that out, and they might then work on external rotation to help strengthen the glutes, so that at a heavy load, the knees don't collapse in and they stay pushed out. But what I prefer to do is go a step further. I want to know why the body has chosen that strategy, that method. Why has the body said, I need to collapse inward? Even though you already know and might be consciously thinking, push the knees out, but your body does different. Well, there could be many other things. Let's take that example of the collapsing in of the knee. So what might be happening? Well, it might be actually that although you do have good glute strength for external rotation, your foot is causing it to collapse in. It might be to do with your hip stability, your trunk stability. It might not even be to do with stability or strength at all. It might be the timing. Because although your glutes might be strong, they might be engaging late, and that is causing your knees to collapse in. So why is this important? Well, the thing is that you can tell someone all day, push your knees out, but if the body doesn't want to do that, at a heavy load, it's not going to. And what does that mean? That means that you can't get that perfect squat position, for example. You can't peak perform because your body is choosing an alternative method to do the rep. And it's going to be harder. For example, if your knee is pushed in like that, it's going to be harder because everything else is going to be affected. And not to mention, you could cause injury or harm to yourself, which is definitely not what you want to do. So if you have a lift, such as a squat, that has a breakdown of some sort, and you can't quite figure out why it is, where the issue is, maybe you keep reviewing a video, or you have a coach and they keep saying you need to work on this, and it's not really getting anywhere because you keep doing the work and it doesn't fix it. It just fixes perhaps the symptoms, and you keep trying to deal with the cues such as push your knees out or something like that, and it's not working and not fixing it, especially at high heavy loads compared to perhaps 60-70%, you can do it fine. Then this video is for you, and the Rapid Relief Peak Performance Lab is for you. Because what we do different to a lot of coaches is we look for what happened before the issue even started, the visible fault was seen. Because a lot of technical faults, whether that being in something like powerlifting with a big heavy lift or with Olympic lifting, is actually a cause and a domino effect. So coaches often just give cues to try and fix it. Let's take another example of an Olympic lift of snatching. If they say, one coach might say, keep the bar close. And you go, well, the athlete already knows that. They know that should be the case. But it's actually that their weight distribution has gone forward. Their positioning is off. That's why the bars moved away. So we actually have to look at what happened before to figure out why that is then happens later. So with the knee issue, it might be timing. It could be a collapse of the foot. But if we look at what happens before it starts to collapse, we can get an idea of where the issue is. We can test other patterns in a similar way to figure out if there's a slightly different underlying issue or there's a secondary issue. Because sometimes there's not just one problem. Sometimes it's a mixture. Sometimes a muscle will not actively work properly because another muscle isn't giving it the ability to work. So we have to find the driving force. And that's why so many people spend so long in a continuous loop of not being able to get a PB. They're stuck at a certain weight because they can't fix these underlying issues. If you would like to fix your underlying issues with something specific like a squat or a bench or something like that, or any other movement patterns in general, then you need to book your peak performance lab assessment. This is an assessment where we look at multiple different movement patterns at different loads and under different intensities in different ways to figure out where your movements break down, where your muscles in the chains that they are, in the sequence that they use for different movements, where the faults are, what needs correcting. And then after that, if you want, we can get a clear path as to how you're going to correct it, and you'll see a massive improvement in not just that one specific movement, but if that pattern is seen in other different movements that you need to do, then you'll see a massive difference and improvement. So it's very transferable. So if that sounds good to you, then click the link below and book your peak performance lab assessment right now.